Physical game releases, Double Dragon, iconic arcade cabinets, and will Arcade1up's new Mortal Kombat finish them? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another episode of This Week, the show where we talk about what happened this week in home arcades, episode 178. Yes, I've got a little bit of a voice thing going on there, a slight cold, I think, maybe. I feel okay, except for the voice. We're going to try to get through this tonight. Bear with me, and I think we can get through with a little bit of something like the call mother's modern medicine or whatever. I don't know. This is an old wives' tale. I think bourbon is just the thing I need to clear up this little bit of whatever I got going on in my throat. So tonight we're drinking Jefferson's, as always, on the rocks. Let's go ahead and give it a shot real quick. And happy Sunday, everybody. I'm getting ready to start the week. It is finally here. The day before the actual day. The day has finally arrived where I start my new job. The old job of 18 years is gone. It's over. A lot of tears. Well, really no tears, but some hugs, some drinks, some well wishes from all my coworkers. It was great being there. It was great traveling and all that, but now we're going to do something just a little bit different. And I'm really, really excited to start that new job tomorrow. For the first time, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't really I'm just going to go in and, okay, all right, I get to learn something new. I get to be the low man on the totem pole. I get to start over. I can't wait. That's going to be so much fun. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the opportunity, and it's going to be good. So, fingers crossed everything goes well. I think it will go well. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to give me more time to be here to talk to you about arcades and also do more projects and to give everybody just a little bit of an update. I know I'm late on this video. The AVP Big Blue restoration video is in the works. It's coming together nice and slow. I've got a lot of video clips to edit together, but I want this to be one video. I don't want to break it up into several different videos. So to give you just a little bit of a sneak peek, yes, the cabinet is in the arcade. It's just right behind me. And I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like right now. Let me go ahead and switch cameras here. Take a look at this beautiful thing. It is the Big Blue next to the Big Red, next to the Road Blasters. It's off because I'm still working on that one. But there it is. It turned out really, really good. I'm pretty happy with it. The video is coming eventually. I think I'd like to get that done this week for sure and get that out to you so you can check it out. But here it is in all of its glory. The Big Blue is fully functional, looks great, plays great. It's just, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So I'm happy to actually have that thing done. Videos forthcoming, but there's nothing like putting together everything and it just comes together and just works well and just turns out so nice. I actually absolutely love that game. So I'm really excited to get that thing going for sure. So we talked about what I did this weekend, talk about the job I get to start Monday. We talk, what I'm drinking. I got to know what you're thinking. And the best way to do that is to have you vote in the poll. That's right. Every single week we have a poll question. This week is no different. The poll question is simply this. There's a lot of people opining, making videos, giving their thoughts about the status of Arcade1up. Are they dead? Are they finished? Is it over? I've made my voice heard. A lot of you have too, but I really want to know. I don't think it's just a yes or no question. I don't think the fact that there or the opinion of them dying, are they dead, their status, it's not simply just yes or no. So here's what I got for you. I want you to think about this and vote in the poll question. Let me know what you think, honestly. The question is Arcade1up dead? If so, what does that death look like? How do you define the death of a company like Arcade1up, or really any company in particular? So first, that option is no, they're not dead. Everything's fine. They're not dead. Second option is yes, and I'm saying they're dead because they're almost bankrupt. So that's what that would be. Okay. Your third option would be yes, because they're not making new games. So death equals no new games. They're dead. They're not moving forward. It's over. And your fourth option is yes, they're dead because they're making nothing that I actually want in my arcade. Because, some people say, well, hey, listen, the claw machine is new, you know, that's a new thing, right? A lot of the other games are rehashes, but that's technically a new thing. The casino arcade would be considered new, right? So maybe that's new, but that's not something you want in your arcade. So yeah, the company's dead because they're just not making anything I want in my. It's not worth buying. A lot of us have not, bought anything from Arcade1up in years. I think I'm the most recent purchase that I made was the X-Men 97 cab. That turned that into an actual X-Men Konami cabinet, kind of a tribute cab. That was a lot of fun. That project was a lot of fun. But as far as new stuff, I'm just not buying anything that they're really selling. And some people would say, well, that's a great way to say, hey, they're dead. That's the death of the company right there. When the core consumer, the core audience, doesn't really want to buy anything they're making, it doesn't really matter if they're financially alive or if they're still producing something, if everything they produce is something you don't want. So, let me know what you think about that in the poll. I really want to know. I'm really curious about, how you define death if you do consider them dead. So I still want to know to be an option just in case you don't think the company is actually dead just quite yet. I'm of, as I thought about this question, I'm of a couple different minds. I think that, no, financially, I think that they're fine. Financially, they're, whatever. They're there. They're alive. They're producing products. I assume they're making some money. So no, they're not dead. But depending on how you define that, they could absolutely be dead. Depending on the purpose of the company itself. So, yeah, I can't wait till I get through puberty, guys. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. This sucks. This hasn't happened in a long, long time, but we're here for it. We're here for it. We're going to try to get to it. Okay, so we talked about the poll question. We talked about what I'm drinking. Let's say hi to the first 10 comments of the night. Not the top 10, but the first 10. Coming in the number one spot is Frank D. What's going on, buddy? Welcome to the show. Not sure if I'm going to drink tonight, but if I do, I think I'm going to go easy on the Jack Daniels. Thinking of just doing some cherry Pepsi. Not bad. I'm starting a new job tomorrow, so what you see in this glass is it. When that's gone, that's it. I'm going to switch to water. Can't be taking no chances. But thank you so much for being here, Frank. Coming in the number 2 spot is JR. What's going on, buddy? Hey, everyone. How are you? Good to see you. The Nerd Jock is sliding into the number 3 spot. Happy Sunday, Fox. Can't wait to get my hands on that fresh, that super sweet Mortal Kombat 2 cab. I'm picking up on your sarcasm. Coming in the number 4 spot is Game Broker 84. Hi, Fox. Happy Sunday. Can't wait for the show tonight. Do you think Iconic Arcade will release a new game in an arcade form factor, i.e. Revive, that may give us hope for other new titles? I do have a couple. I've seen some stuff behind the scenes that I can't talk about. But I do think that there is some room for maybe some newer games, not just different titles, different classic titles. But I think that it's possible that we could see some newer games, some 16:9 actual games. I think it's possible. Is there a market for that? Will people buy that cabinet? I'm not exactly sure. I really don't know how that would work out. If you're talking about some kind of a cabinet that could maybe, I don't know, have the entirety of a series of games in one, like Mortal Kombat, because if you want to include the original Mortal Kombat games and then the new Mortal Kombat games, that would require a 16:9 screen to accommodate the most recent games. Same thing can be said about Street Fighter, So I think that once you allow yourself to think about that as an option, well, then maybe perhaps that doesn't rule out new games. I think that we're going to run into an issue where we have classic games are going to be impossible. Some of them are going to be impossible to get our hands on because of licensing. So what do? You make another Street Fighter cabinet, sure, but now you include Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, and that's going to require that 16:9 screen. Is that going to be going a bridge too far and still maintaining that form factor that we all know and love? I don't know. I think there's room for discussion there for sure. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. I appreciate it. Coming in number 9 spot is Show Gecko. What's going on, man? Hello, Fox and friends. Make this a great one. I'm trying. Hanging in there. I'm trying. Thank you so much for being here. John E. Blaze coming in the number 6 spot. Good day, everyone. Good to see you, Mike. Hawkhurts is here. Hope I didn't blow up your speakers for that one. Yeah, the year of MK. It's just getting better and better and better, isn't it? Sir Sega coming in the number 8 spot. What's going on, buddy? Yo, Fox. Happy Sunday. That Double Dragon has my attention. It's nice to finally have some more options again. I hope they keep it coming. Absolutely. I really hope they keep it coming too. But we need to have more options in home arcade. And Iconic Arcade doesn't necessarily need to put all their eggs in one basket. Street Fighter is a safe bet if you're talking about these arcade recreations, but they've also been out for quite some time. There's been a lot of Street Fighter out there from different companies, different form factors and all that. Even Arcade1up themselves have remade Street Fighter over and over and over again. So it would be a wise idea to maybe have a couple different SKUs, you know. Double Dragon is good. It's not another Capcom property, you know. So it's not like a Final Fight cab or something. So that's good to see a different publisher. I'm interested to see what we could see from Namco. Because remember, we saw John D over in Japan at the Namco office. What could that potentially be? Who knows? Thank you so much for being here, man. And coming in, let me scroll that up right there. Bring that down here. Dan Z is coming in the number 9 spot. How you doing, buddy? Great to see you. And Jason, Double Dragon, let's go, is number 10. Thank you so much for being here. Michael B, sliding into Fox's DMs. How about Dragon Ball? Be very clear about that. Yes. If you're watching Dragon Ball at all, the Dragon Ball Diamond, it was silly and goofy until it wasn't. And then it was just like, okay, well, that's cool. Let's talk about that. That looks good. Sweet. So yeah, so Dragon Ball is something that we're definitely watching for sure. A lot of these new shows are coming back. I'm interested to see what the new Daredevil looks like too. That's going to be true to the Netflix series because I absolutely loved Daredevil on Netflix. 100%. 100%. We also got JJ's in the house. B Kirby, what's going on, man? Milkman Classics, odd but cools, is also here. Thank you so much for being here. Devin Reverman, Matthew, what's going on, buddy? Mower Medic, how you doing, brother? As good to see you as always. Kicking back with some Miller, as always. Nice. Retro Roofer, what's going on? Biggie D's in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Nova Sonic 23. Always good to see you, man. The Real Zim, MSU Rich, Brooklyn Menace. Miss G, how are you? Great to see you. Angelo P. Bob, what's going on, brother? How you doing? Nova Sonic, we got Galaga Guy. How you doing, buddy? Mike is hot? No, voice is destroyed. Voice is destroyed. That's the whole problem. But should I turn it up? Nah, I probably shouldn't turn it up. That's probably good there. Leave it alone. Sorry, buddy. You came back at the wrong time. I am stricken with disease. Chris Ford is here. Ardith Bay, what's going on? We got Joe. What's going on, buddy? I think we said Adam. What's going on? Great to see you as always. Great to see you as always. We get everybody else. Devastator Omega. Thank you so much for being here. I'm trying to keep it together, guys. Good to see you as always, man. Where's Jago, Kevin, Wong, John, Dr. Torque, and the Dubious Maximus, the Dubious Maximus is in the house. What's going on, man? Thank you so much for being here, Patrick. Great to see you as always. I'm struggling, guys, but I'm trying to keep it together. Travis Scott, what up, dude? Good to see you. James, mildly annoyed at some things. Fox and Socks? Right there. They're both on. They're both on. Fox and Socks. Fox is struggling. Fox and Socks. That's right. Free Time Arcade. How are you? Great to see you. You know what? You're giving it away. Just hold on. You and I though. We're talking about that a little bit later. And we're also talking about right now a $5 super chat. This one comes to us from Dan Z. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for your $5 super chat. Thank you for all the streams. Namaste. Thank you so much for your super chat. Really do appreciate it. Helps out the channel. But I got to send you on a vacation, and it's going to be kind of short-lived. You might not make it back. You know where you're going. Go to the pit.
Finish him.
Bush and Rue Cat, what's going on, buddy? Great to see you. Let me turn on my volume just a little bit. Looking good. If the newest Mortal Kombat cabinet had MK123 Ultimate 4 Arcade, Sub-Zero, all the games, right? Now we're talking. Yes, that would be a way to redeem it for sure. That would absolutely be a way to redeem it. Movie Mark, what's going on, Fox? Got the yes, it's all part of my ruse. It's all part of the character I'm playing right now. This is, Movie Mark, I didn't get much done this weekend. This started happening Monday, and then I was in South Carolina, and then I had to come back. I drove back Wednesday night, got home about midnight, so technically Thursday morning, and then it just got a little bit worse. So I tried to take it easy this weekend. I got a few cabinets I got to sell. That didn't happen this weekend. Hopefully it'll happen next weekend. I'm excited about that. So get that done. I tell you one thing I did do, guys, and I want to take a second and just talk about this for a second. I did take the time to talk with an old friend. He's actually a YouTube buddy from way back. We did a stream, just he and I, a video call, and we spent like 3 hours just talking. And it was so good to catch up with him off screen, off air, not doing anything live, just catching up, going back and forth. And it's good to take some time to do that. So make sure in your lives, make sure you take a little bit of time, whether it's a parent, a brother, a sister, a friend you haven't talked to in a while, every once in a while. I know you can't do it. Your life's busy. You can't do it all the time. But take the time to catch up with old friends. It does your heart good, and it builds relationships. And that's always good. So cheers to my good buddy Stig over in Norway. Great talking to you, man. Great conversation. I'm going to have another drink. I did take some medicine before the live stream. I don't know if it's going to kick in at some point, but I think we're going to do okay. Gamer Fridge, thank you so much for being here, man. All right, you made it. Got another $5 super chat from Movie Mark. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat, man. Coffee on me tomorrow morning for the first day. I appreciate it. I will absolutely take you up on it. Give me some coffee on the way in. And it's a totally different part of Cincinnati that I've never worked in. So I don't even know what's around there. I hope there's a Dunkin' Donuts really close. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat, brother. Really do appreciate you. Here you go. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much for your super chats, guys. Remember, vote in the poll. We talked about what I'm drinking and weekends and work and all this. Now let's go ahead and what we got to do? We got to slide into the first topic. Physical game release dates. I wanted to bring you up to speed on some of my favorite games that are coming out, not just digital releases, but physical releases. Some of these are actually, I think they're all cool, but some of them are actually fairly significant. Let's talk about those. So we'll go ahead and start off with Evercade coming out with a couple different cartridges. This news dropped this weekend, last week. We've got Tomb Raider Collection 2. Well, I've already got the Collection 1 over here. Most of you probably already got that if you're interested. Tomb Raider Collection 2, and then Atari Arcade 2 is coming out. I wish this was a re-release of Atari Arcade 1, which is hard as hell to find. I mean, there's a guy on eBay that's got one, but I just don't want to pay $100 for the cartridge. Am I going to do it? I don't know. I'm thinking about it. It's probably not the right way to go, but I think I might have to do it. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things. I want to kind of complete the arcade side of Evercade to play on my Alpha. I think that would be sick. But these two announcements are pretty cool. Let's go and take a look at Tomb Raider and what we're talking about there. Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation and Tomb Raider Chronicles. These are very much definitely in that PS1 era as far as games are concerned, as far as graphics are concerned. You're not going to get something that kind of moves into the PS2 era, which is where I really fell in love with Anniversary, which is just a remake of that first game. Obviously not HD because this is PS2, but this is a really fun game. I played it on PS2. I played it a lot actually on PSP. I really loved it on PSP. And of course, I did pick up the HD trilogy remake or a collection on PS3. So I'm a Tomb Raider fan, but I really, my nostalgia is really for the first game. Really for the first game. I think that's why I loved Anniversary so much, because it was a big step up in graphics, for sure. And then the HD remake was really cool, but it played really well on the PSP. I'm a big PSP fan. What can I say? Okay, so now we're talking about the other release from Evercade, and that is the Atari Arcade 2. Got a couple games on here you may be familiar with. If you're not familiar with them, New Wave Toys came out with a couple of these cabinets just a little bit ago, last year sometime. Berserk and Frenzy is on those two that I'm talking about there. Tasmania, Lost Tomb, Moon War, Dark Planet, and the last four are going to be Rescue, Minefield, Fire Truck, and Maze Invaders. Definitely the marquee titles on this for me is going to be Berserk and Frenzy. But I really wish that I was able, if I was smart enough, I would have picked up the first Atari Arcade cartridge one. That is now a legacy title. You can't find that anymore. I mean, you can find it on, like I said, on eBay, but you're going to pay a big chunk of change for that. Like I said, that's going for about $100. If you include shipping, you're probably looking at 100, 105, 110. The one I'm bidding on is sealed, so we'll see what happens, but it's going to be fun. I don't know that I want to bid much higher than I've already bid, so we'll see. But I really want that collection because, like I said, it really plays well on the Alpha, and I want to get that arcade collection because it's got some bangers on it too. It's got Crystal Castles, which once again, it's another cabinet that New Wave Toys is doing. So, but those are some of the cool physical games that are coming out from Evercade. Also, some games that I've had on pre-order finally have release dates, official release dates. There's some on here that I don't know if you're familiar with all these, but did I miss a slide? I think I did. We've got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind, which is very much in the same vein as excuse me, in the same vein of probably Ninja Turtles, I think. Shredder's Revenge is going to be what it looks a lot like. Where is that slide? Give me a second. Maybe do I have that slide? Let me see. Where is it? Is it here? Is it there? Is that it? Yeah. Here it is. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Let me put this slide up. Boom. Stop. Come here. Let me delete that one. Sorry, guys. Give me just 1 second. Remove that one and remove that one and remove that one. Yeah. So Rita's Revenge is something I'm pretty interested in because I did like Shredder's Revenge a lot. I played Double Dragon Gaiden. That was pretty cool. The art style was not quite as good. I've played the Karate Kid Royal Rumble, or I forget what, Tournament Rumble, whatever it was. I played that. That was pretty good. But Turtles for me is the one to top. This one could actually rival it. I'm not a huge fan of Power Rangers, but this does look really good. It's the original Rangers, the original cast. Definitely looks, I mean, almost exactly, not exactly, but it looks a lot like the TMNT version. So this looks really good. I'm excited about that for sure. And then also, get rid of that. Boom, right there. Going back to this slide here. Capcom Fighting Collection 2 has a physical release date. So it's not just when it's downloadable, but it's going to be coming out in May. Remember the first Fighting Collection, there was a massive delay. There's a massive difference between when it dropped digitally and when it dropped physically. It looks like this is going to be really close, the same date, same month. You're going to be able to play this digitally. You're going to be able to. This thing is going to ship in May, so that will good. So they will ship it by May 5th to 16th. So that's good. But the big news from console gamers and physical or downloadable, whatever you want, if you're interested in Metal Gear Solid, it is coming out this August 28th. I'm really excited about that. That's close to my birthday, about 2 weeks before my birthday. So I'm very excited about Metal Gear Solid Delta. Those games are coming up. I'm excited about them. Excited about owning them physically. And that's the big thing. There was some talk from Sony about the PlayStation 6 not having a drive at all, a disc drive at all, and not being able to play physical games. That's not going to happen. They later came back and said that wasn't going to be something that they were going to be doing. And I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think we're pretty close. Pretty close to the point where we're not going to have digital or physical versions. But for now, you have got to hold on to those physical copies as much as possible because, once they're gone, they could be on the store now, but we know, I mean, if you've been doing this for any length of time, those titles can absolutely disappear from all these digital storefronts, and then you're done, and then you're screwed, and you're not going to be able to access them anymore. So if they have a physical release, I'm glad that these do. Go out there and grab them, get them, enjoy them. Now let's move on to the next topic. Okay. Yeah, puberty is rough, guys. Puberty is rough. Moving on to Arcade1up. Yes, they finally something leaked. We got something new to talk about from Arcade1up. It's very exciting, right? Finally, something cool. Well, it's maybe not cool, but it is something different. It's something different for sure, and that is well, it's this. So it's not the one on the right; it's the one on the left. So we talked about this on my show. I did a video about it. Everybody did a video about this. Everybody's got their 2 cents to put in. This is just god awful, guys. There's really no two ways about it. Now let's start with the pluses. Okay, once again, the new cabinet is the one on the left. Let's talk about the pluses. And there is a plus. This cabinet has a positive. There is a positive. Okay, and it is the screw hole plugs on the side, the screw hole covers. So if you notice, if you zoom in, you're not going to be able to see those. The head of a screw is going to have covers. So that's good. They've retained the covers. And the minuses are everything else. This is everything else is absolutely god awful. So I did put the current Peasantcade up on the screen for a comparison, because there's a lot going on here that's absolutely radically different. So when we initially saw this, we saw, okay, we did a quick games list count. Okay, there's one less. Turns out it was tubing that was taken off. I mean, I have no idea why, but tubing was omitted from this. And then when you look at the screen, you realize, oh yeah, that's why. Because tubing is a vertical game, and on a 4:3, aspect ratio, if you crop that in, it doesn't look quite that bad. But when you're talking about a 16:9, your borders on the left and right are going to be massive. So they probably said that looks like absolute ass. So let's get rid of that game. Let's not do that. Which is automatically that devalues the cab for sure. Devalues the cab for sure. But what else is going on? Well, yeah, let's talk about that 16:9 monitor. The 16:9 monitor with the massive bezels on the left and the right. Those are digital bezels. That's not going to be part of the actual physical bezel around the cabinet. Also hints at a smaller screen. Is that even going to be 17 inches? I don't know how that's going to work out. The amount of real estate you have doesn't look the same as a standard, like a 4:3 aspect ratio cabinet that we've had the best. Those 17-inch BOEs, I don't think you're going to have that same viewable area with whatever the hell is in that cabinet. And judging by that width, it's not looking good, guys. I don't think that's going to be a small monitor. Let's just leave it at that. A 16:9 monitor is going to suck ass. But it's not just that. And it's not even the fact that they got the god awful side art on the side. It's even worse than that. They sunk the marquee back in, but it's even worse than that. All the stuff that was sort of obvious is made even worse when you put it next to the current version of the Peasantcade, the cheapest thing out there. It's a lot thinner. It's more shallow. It's also missing the little side plates. So if you look over on the control panel on the current generation Peasantcade, they have those additional pieces on the left and the right that say midway on the side. That adds a little bit of width to the cabinet. So for the player one, it gives you about a 1/2 inch more real estate to kind of rest your hand on. You don't have that on this new version. But you've also got so much, it's not as thick as the old one was. It's much skinnier. It reminds me of something else. It reminds me of this god-awful atrocity. Pax, you are 100% right. It is an abomination. I mean, listen, guys, I don't think there's anything redeeming about this. By any metric, by any scale, by any unit of measure, less games. It's thinner cabinet. You have less material. I mean, it's not even, like I talked about, the control panel extensions on the left and the right. Those little pieces, those 1/2 inch pieces, adding a full inch of width to the cabinet, giving you a little more area to rest your hands. They even maintain that on the Slim Katie, but they didn't bring it over to the Peasant Kate. They're trying to make the cheapest version absolutely possible. And then at least with this version of the Peasant Cade, you still had that good marquee that you could illuminate that. You could go in there with an LED strip and you could make that work because it's the same. It's the same one. Everything's the same, as the deluxe version of this. You do not have an option with this version on the left, this new Peasant Cade, this wooden garbage. It's somehow worse than what we got in that Gen 1 era. It's really bad. I'll give it this over the Gen 1 version. I'll give it this. It's not the shark fin design. It has a little bit more of an arcade-ish shape. But it has absolutely just regressed in every possible measure. This is the future of this company. This is the way that they are moving. This skinny shell of what once was. I mean, it's just not. It's just not. It's not there. There's nothing redeeming about this whatsoever. And I can't understate it enough. And it points, and listen, if you're looking at this company and you're worried, or if you're thinking about what is Arcade1up doing, what's their trajectory? I mean, are they moving forward? Have they plateaued, up, down? What are they doing? This is the direction they're moving. This is their design language. This is what Arcade1up will be moving forward. I mean, this was meaning the Peasant Cab on the right, the current generation of the Peasant Cab was a much better proportioned machine. I'm not saying it was the most ideal. I'm saying compared to these two, it was a much better proportioned machine. Proper aspect ratio on that monitor, a deeper cabinet, adds a little more stability. And then you got this. You have this design language, this moving forward, this skinny, slim, cheaply made. They've always been sort of cheaply made, right? You got to be honest about that. You've got to be honest about the fact the build quality has been what it is. But the build quality can be passable if the proportions are correct. If you've got the depth and some of the width, it can be sturdy. It's just not. It's not working. It is a regression. This is where they're moving backwards. now direct to Goodwill. It's a retail partner, and they are working with their new retail partners. That's right. I just don't, and I know that we have been hard on Arcade1up in the past. We have. I know. I agree. We have. Yeah, we've gone down this road before, but in my mind, there has always been something that we could point to and say, well, that's a positive. We could point to that and say, well, that's I see what they're doing there. But when it comes to this, I can't see anything positive. I can't see any upward trajectory whatsoever. Nothing. This was not as bad. This was like, well, you took a deluxe cabinet that was pretty good and you cut the bottom off of it. And you took off the coin door and you took out the LED light, but all the proportions were still the same. And you're making this thing like, $200 cheaper. But this, I mean, good God. And so what's the deluxe? I mean, because you know what this is telling you, right? This is forecasting the new deluxe, the new Mortal Kombat Deluxe will be this. It will be the Slim Katie version of Mortal Kombat. It'll be the Slim Katie version of Pac-Man. I mean, this is just god awful. And there's only direction. There's only one direction that this points to, and it's down. It's absolutely down. And one of the only ways that I can get back up is with the super chat. This one is $4.99 from GeForce Guy. Thank you so much for your $4.99 super chat. Why can't they just sell their Midway license for the love of all that is holy, it's in the wrong hands clearly. Give it to Media 1UP, for God's sakes. Agree. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat, man. Really do appreciate it. And let me add a little insult to the wound, a little salt in the wound, and give you some MK4.
Finish him. Scorpion wins. Fatality.
My Cockhurst has a really good question. Are we doing a slimmer riser now? I mean, yeah, because look, I mean, these things required risers, right? So are they going to have risers, or is it just going to be a deluxe and no risers? Because that would change the shape of the riser. A much more narrow riser will be required. It's very sad. Very sad. That is the future. That's where you're headed. Arcade1up fans have been betrayed. We have been betrayed. And not by each other, and not by YouTubers. We've not been betrayed. No. We've all banded together. We've ridden this ride together. We have not been betrayed by each other. We have been betrayed by Arcade1up. And I don't see any light in the tunnel. I just don't see them moving forward. I don't see them building something that I enjoy. But I don't think the company's dead. The company's going to be around for a long time. But they will continue to regress and regress and regress and regress until they're competing with My Arcade, with little plastic handhelds, maybe little Mortal Kombats. And GeForce Guy will be heartbroken because they won't let that go, because that's all they have left is that one license. And you'll get Tiger Electronics quality handhelds of Mortal Kombat, little Sub-Zero LCDs, and it will be sad. It will be sad. So no, I don't think they're dead. They're alive, but like the person that lost all their arms and legs, in an accident, their life will be changed. Their life will be different. They're not going to be the same. They're not going to live the same life. The company's not going to be the same. It's not going to give us the same stuff. So you're alive, sure, but I mean, think about the quality of life, man. I want to apologize to all accident victims who have lost limbs in accidents. I didn't think that joke through. Moving on to the final thing. Let's end on a high note. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something fun. Let's talk about a leak, a good leak, a fun leak. This is good. Check this out. Okay. Did a video, talked about it, did a community post. Let's talk about it tonight. I want to get your opinion. I want to see if anybody's excited about this, because we've got a couple things going on here. So right off the bat, let's look at what we have. We have an announcement from Arc Systems, okay, the makers of Double Dragon Revive and the Double Dragon games. I think the license has reverted to them, or they own it, and they've wrestled that out of Taito's hands, I guess. And so this is what they got. Official sponsors of their World Tournament, or the World Tour Finals, are going to be Iconic Arcade, and they're going to have a couple arcade machines at this tournament, and they're going to be Double Dragon Classic and Double Dragon Revive. Two different cabinets, two different styles. The shape overall is different, the shape overall is the same, but there's going to be a lot of differences. I think that's an error in the actual render itself. We'll talk about that. Yes, we'll talk about that because it's a little bit funky. So basically what you got here is you got two different cabinets, one showcasing the original Double Dragon from back in the day, and then you got the Double Dragon Revive, which is a new version coming out later this year. It is going to be a 16:9 game. So here's where things get kind of interesting. People lose a lot of interest sometimes when you talk about changing the aspect ratio. It looks weird. It looks funky. It looks like an ad games. It looks like a multicade, except when it is the correct aspect ratio for the game you're playing, right? So Double Dragon Revive would fall into that same category. But all the other games don't fall in that category. The other games that fall in that, they're going to be either 4x3, they're going to be the 5-4. That is the ratio that is correct. There you go. I did too. It's pretty cool. Before I sold it. So you got two different arcades. So there's a lot of questions here. So right off the bat, I do believe these are going to be the same shape as what we saw the Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha 2. I think they're going to be the same. I think they're going to be the same overall shape. But I think you're going to have, excuse me. I think you're going to have some obvious differences between these two. The screen being the biggest thing, but also the button layout is going to be radically different in many different ways. And one thing is different is a super chat at $5 coming to me from Stock Jock. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for $5 super chat. While I'm happy for you gamers that like Double Dragon, I'm kind of tired of fighting and beat 'em up cabs. Please give me more early 80s cabs. Simple. Make Stock Jock happy. Give the man what he's asking for. I mean, go mine some of the gold that was found in the 80s. Bring these to life. Give us some good old classics. Make Stock Jock and all of us happy by giving us some of the old stuff, some of the good stuff, some of the classics, some of the things that were born and bred and best played on an arcade cabinet. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat, man. Really appreciate it. And here you go.
Rookie.
So let's take these a little bit bigger. So you got these two cabinets, and you right off the bat, okay, which one are you going to be more excited about? Are you going to be excited about a Double Dragon Revive that nobody's ever played before, the game isn't out yet? Or are you going to be more excited about the classic? I'm going to assume that more than half of you are going to be more excited about the original Double Dragon than the new game. So let's talk about that one for just a second. I think that they nailed the styling of this. This looks very good. Very good. I think that the shape overall is very, I mean, if it's exactly the same thing that I saw in Vegas, it's going to be a home run. Absolute hit. Well, some people are talking about the different, if you look close, you're going to see 6 buttons for the player 1 and like 3 for player 2. I think that's just the rendering is just messed up. I think they meant to do 3 and 3, and they just jacked that up. I think that there may be extra buttons, but they're going to be up top. They're not going to be right there by the player 1. So they'll be up top for different buttons for coin in and all that stuff. But that should be 3 and 3 to play all these games. Now, what games are we going to have on here? If you zoom into the kick plate on the bottom, you'll see that's actually the box art for a Double Dragon collection that came out a little while ago for the Nintendo Switch. Now, this can be a little bit disheartening. This is going to be a little bit sad here because when you look at that on the kick plate and you see Double Dragon collection, you ain't going to be happy with what's on that collection. The games that are featured on Double Dragon collection are Double Dragon 1, 2, 3, and those are the NES versions, the Nintendo versions, the 8-bit versions. Then you have Super Nintendo or Double Dragon that was on the Super Nintendo, Double Dragon Advance on the Game Boy Advance, and then you had Double Dragon 4 that is 16:9, but it was made in the same art style as the original NES games. So, if that is on this cab, I'm not going to be happy about that. If we got NES games on here as the title games, that's not going to work for me at all. Now, if they have the arcade ROMs and then they also have the Double Dragon collection, okay, I can deal with that. I understand that. But if this is gonna, seriously, if this is gonna be just some 8-bit machine, I'm not interested. Now, the screenshot on that cabinet is the arcade version. So I don't know. I don't know. I think at the very least, if you're going to make this, you cannot have just a bunch of NES games on here. You cannot just have Nintendo games, Super Nintendo or regular. It doesn't matter. No console games. I mean, you can have console games as a bonus, but that cannot be the focus of an arcade cabinet. You have got to have the arcade ROMs. I have no problem with this, with these other games being on there as like a bonus. These games, but that cannot be the total games list. Can't be. There's got to be something else. If you put a bunch of console ROMs on this, I'm not going to be happy. I'm going to be very upset. And the only thing that would be able to calm me down is a $5 super chat. This one comes to us from B. Kirby. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat, brother. Agree with Sockjock. The 80s cabs are the golden era of arcades. I'll grab Double Dragon for sure. I'm interested in the Revive 2, 15 games, though. That's the thing. There's got to be a robust games list. There's got to be a lot on there. I mean, if you're going to have a Double Dragon cab like that, and you're going to charge $6.99 for this, you can't just have NES games on there. That's not going to work. It's going to have to be something a little more substantial. I demand the arcade ROMs. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Here you go. But there's another thing I think we have to consider. We have to consider this. While this is exciting, we don't know if these are going to be available for the public to purchase. Just because you're going to be an official sponsor for an event, a singular event, and just because you make a couple cabs for that event, that doesn't mean that these are ever going to see the light of day or ever going to be available for pre-order or ever going to be available with one of their retail partners. Now, I haven't heard anything from Media1up about this. They've not posted anything as far as I know. I've reached out to John D. I haven't heard anything. I don't know if these are going to be out on display to maybe gauge customer interest, which is also possible. I mean, if you're trying to figure out something new to do, some new game to put out there, I would think that this would be an exercise of, obviously support for ARC and support for an event that you're sponsoring, but this should also be a way to gauge, maybe where your products should move forward. And I think the biggest question is going to be who's going to be interested in which cab. I mean, are a bunch of younger kids or 20-year-olds, going to be interested in Revive, and a bunch of older guys are going to be interested in Double Dragon? Or would somebody be interested in a cabinet that could have both games? So like we talked about before, if a cabinet could have the entirety of a game series, I mean, all the way up to the current gen, and can the Raspberry Pi run it? I saw somebody asking that question. That would be something. Here we go. Yeah. If we're talking about having the most current versions and the old versions on a cabinet, you're going to have to go 16:9. But does that mess with the form factor? Does that mess with the look of it? I think that it does. So you have to really consider when you throw a 16:9 in there, you're gonna drastically alter the look and feel of the cabinet itself. Because those cabinets were made for those square screens, that 4x3 and those types of games. To put a modern game in this form factor is going to feel slightly foreign. It's going to be much more at home in like a Vuelix or a Chulix, a sit-down candy style cabinet with a wide monitor, built with a wide monitor in mind. Putting it in this form factor is going to feel odd to the old guys, the people that have a lot of nostalgia for these cabinets. So is it possible to have the same games list on both? Sure. You could take Double Dragon Revive and you could squash that down to 4x3. It's possible. Um, I mean, I think that I would probably deal. I would rather have that be. I would rather deal with that problem than have a cabinet with a 16x9 in it, and then I have big borders for my original Double Dragon games. That is kind of the reason why I want the cabinet to begin with. I mean, the new game is going to be made for consoles anyway. The new game may never even make it into arcades at all. So this is definitely going to be more of a console thing anyway. So I think that's going to be the big, like, who's going to be drawn to which cab. And then when you determine who's drawn to which cab, now you have to figure out who's going to eventually, who's the one more likely to buy the one they were drawn to. So if you got the 25s, the 30-year-olds that are drawn to the new cab, is that the guy that's going to buy the cab? But if you have the 40-year-olds and up, maybe 30s, whatever, drawn to the Double Dragon Classic cab with the 4x3, how many in that group are going to be more likely to purchase that item? I would think that crowd, 40 plus, is going to be more inclined to buy these, mid 30s and up. Now, if that older age group is drawn to both, well, now I don't know what the hell you do. At that point, I don't know what the hell you do. But I think that the safer bet is probably going to be to go with the Double Dragon cabinet. And, I don't know that you have to include the new game on it. But the bigger question, I think, is actually going to be, is this even going to be something that's available? Is it going to be one or the other? Is it going to be both? Or could it be, listen, we have to settle on one. We're going to have a 16x9 cab. But we can go to Namco. We can say, listen, I want Tekken. I want all the Tekkens. I want every Tekken game you have. So if that's the case, if you want a Tekken cabinet that has all the Tekken games, you need that 16x9 cabinet. You need that 16x9 display to play all the games. You still get Tekken 1 through 3. That 4x3, you got that. But all the other Tekkens are now involved. Tekken Advance, yeah. Was that it? Where was that comment? Yeah. Hard pass. We don't have to Tekken. Not that one. No. And that's the one benefit that the 16x9 monitor would offer you. But you're going to have to deal with the borders. So it just kind of goes back and forth. Like the arcade cabinet guy is going to want the arcade cabinet game. But it would be kind of cool to have all the Tekken games or all the Street Fighter games. You get a 16x9 screen. Now we can have Street Fighter 4 and 5. We could have Virtual Fighter, all the Virtual Fighters, all the Soul Calibur games. That would be sick. But I don't know. I don't know I don't know which way I end up on this. I think that my inclination is to go with the old style, because I think that the people that would spend the money to buy this arcade recreation are going to be drawn to the older games that were made for the cabinet. That cabinet right there. The new game was never made for that cabinet. I mean, maybe that cabinet will come out. Maybe. But I don't know that Double Dragon Revive is ever going to be in an arcade. It's probably just going to be like a console exclusive. That's the way it's going to be. That's just my 2 cents. But Jason's given us more than 2 cents. He's given us $20 in a super chat. Thank you so much for your $20 super chat, brother. For multicade use, the 6 button on both sides would be better with more flexibility, as they are Street Fighter or SF. For accuracy, I understand, but you can still play accurately with 6 buttons, 2 buttons in the top corner, 1 button center. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can do that. It's just going to come down to what is it that you want. If you want a Double Dragon multicade, which means all the Double Dragon games, and some of those games are going to require 6 buttons, then you make it with the 16x9, you make it with the 6 buttons. But obviously, yes, you can play games with fewer buttons on that same cabinet. But I think that the person that's going to want the Double Dragon cabinet that includes the new games is not going to be the same person that's going to want to actually buy that cabinet. I think that the person that wants the original games are going to want the original shaped cabinet with the original controls. And yeah, if you put a different game on there as a bonus, that'll be fine. That'll be okay. But that's not why they're buying that cabinet. That'd be a cool bonus. They're buying that cabinet for that style. That's what they're buying that for. If it happens to play other Double Dragon games, fine, whatever. But the Double Dragon fan, I think, in my mind, that is into arcades so much that they would buy that they're gonna want this version. And they're not gonna want the 16x9 version. But if neither one of them come to market, I don't know. Maybe it's just a moot point. Maybe we're talking about something that doesn't even matter. Thank you so much for your $20 super chat, brother. Really do appreciate you. Let me give you something a little bit. Here you go.
Finish him. Sub-Zero wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
I'm 47 and I own 3/4 and real arcades. I would totally get a cabinet with 16x9 as long as it plays modern games that use it. It's a good point. You may be limited. I don't know. You're limited, I think, on the Raspberry Pi 5 to, I think, is PS2. I think PS2 runs smooth. I think. I'm not sure. But that being said, there's a lot of great games that could run within that chipset. But that's another question you got to think about. If it's 16x9, it's got to play all the modern games. Well, then now you're talking about a machine that's going to have more power to really play those newer arcade versions of those newer games. Is a Raspberry Pi going to be able to do that? Is it really going to be able to push those to that level? Are you going to be able to get the most out of Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter 5? I don't know. I don't know I don't know exactly how far you could push the Raspberry Pi, limited to the 2 gigabytes of RAM. 8 gigabytes may be required for some of these bigger games, but that's not going to be an option. You can't just upgrade that chip, I don't believe. But that's just, it's just my 2 cents. Most wanted arcade accurate. I think so. I think if you're going to play it at an arcade at somebody else's house, you think, oh, that other one, the Revive, the new cabinet, that's pretty cool. The new game, that's cool. But for the people that are going to purchase something, they're going to want that recreation, at least in my mind. It's what I think. So I think that if I had to gamble with my money, I would go for the older cabinet with the older games, arcade versions. Console versions can be on there as a bonus. That's fine. But I really don't think that console games have no place on an arcade cabinet, in my opinion. It should be arcade ROMs only. But if you want to have them as a bonus, that's fine. But that the waters get muddied when you're talking about something with a 16x9 display. It's different. Hey, we got another $5 super chat. This comes to us from Bushin Rayu. Cat, what's going on, buddy? Would it be cheap and profitable to put Double Dragon Classic and Revive on a candy cab with the Taito light marquee? Sorry, Taito light marquee. Info on bezels and game title cards. They sell 100% stock. I think that form factor would be, if you build it for, you got to think about the game. It's going to be the marquee game. So Double Dragon Revive would be the marquee game on the 16x9 Chulix, Vulix type sit down candy cab, right? But if you're talking about the candy cabs like this here, the Taito candy cabs like that, like a recreation of that would be sick. But that would be really skewed more towards the classic Double Dragon. You could have Revive on there, but it would be squished down, the image could be cropped. I mean, it's possible to make that work. I've seen that work. I've seen at arcade shows or game conventions. I've seen Street Fighter 5 playing on a traditional cabinet with a traditional CRT monitor. It could work. Would it be profitable? I don't know the answer to that. It depends on if you can get that cost down. Once you go north of $1,000, I don't know what to do for you. Now, if you can stick with the right screen size If you go with, like I said, if you go the 4x3, maybe go 19 or 26, you could probably stay less than $1,000. But for what they're doing here, these images here, the cabinet shape, you're talking about a much smaller screen. You're talking about maybe a 22-inch 16x9. You know, you're not talking about a 24 because a 20, well, maybe a 24 would fit, maybe. But once you crop that down, what kind of size image does that give you? So I'm not sure. Thank you so much for your question. Really do appreciate you. And I'll tell you what, let me give you something. Here you go. So yeah, I think it's kind of where we're at. We don't know if these things are going to happen. Are they going to be available for retail, for pre-order? I don't know. That's the biggest question. Am I excited about that? Yes, I'm excited about the Double Dragon cabinet. I could really be all in on that one, depending on the games list. If you've got arcade games on there, you can have all the other stuff, but they got to have all the arcade games. If they can include Combat Tribes, that'd be great. The spiritual successor to Double Dragon 2. If they could have that on there, that would be awesome. Include the console games, sure. But I want that, me personally, I want that original cabinet look. That's what I want. That's what I would go for. That's what I would absolutely love. And I like the beat 'em ups. I mean, the beat 'em ups are a different type of play. It's co-op play. It's original side-by-side co-op play back in the day. And it's a different type of game style. And listen, fighters are out there. Fighters have been there forever. Street Fighter, I know, is a pretty solid choice. It's a good way to start. Iconic Arcade's first cabinet, but I'm telling you, their second cabinet, their follow-up cabinet, it doesn't need to be another fighter. And a beat 'em up, while, yeah, I mean, beat 'em ups have been done before, it's definitely, it's not a bad way to, have a second cabinet. It's not a bad way to go. There are other cabinets, other ways. I love to see shooters and drivers, but beat 'em ups are not bad. And if you're talking about beat 'em ups, Double Dragon is absolutely the king. Or would you look at that?
What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
Unfortunately, it is that time to go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Thank you for putting up with my voice. But before I let you go, we got to talk about the poll question. The poll question was this. I'm interested to see about, I don't know where this, okay. This is interesting. So I didn't know how this one was going to shake out. The question was, is Arcade1up dead? If so, what does that death look like? I'm going in the poll now. 143 votes. Thank you, everybody who took the time to vote and make your voice be heard. Let's talk about those results. So coming in the number 4 spot is no. So 13% of you say Arcade1up is not dead. Coming in the number 3 spot is, with 26% of the vote, by the way, is yes, they're making nothing that I want in my arcade. So therefore, I think they're dead. So who wins the top spot? It's going to be yes, because they're not making new games. 31% say they're dead because they're not making new games. 27% say they're dead because I think they're almost bankrupt. 26% of you said that I think that they're dead because they're not making anything that I want in my arcade. It's not good. It's not good. So what is that? 87% of you watching think that Arcade1up is dead for various reasons. And that's definitely, that's a trajectory, all right. But it's not the trajectory that I think that Arcade1up wants to go, wants to see. And if you're a fan of the company, that's not exactly what you want to see. But maybe Iconic Arcade can give us something to be excited about if they could maybe give us one thing that we're really lacking when we talk about these leaks. And that one thing is confirmation. Because until it's confirmed, it's not confirmed. Thank you so much, everybody, for stopping out and checking out the channel. All my members, you stay right here. You're going to be automatically redirected to the after show where we can get into some of the nitty-gritty of what's going on behind the scenes. Everybody, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the channel. You have a blessed day. Don't work too hard, and I'll see you all right back here next time. Peace.